Welcome back to the Loco Youth Leader Labs. This is episode number 8. We're talking about the do's and the don'ts of student ministry. There are some things that we need to be very clear on. You've been given authority, and with authority comes responsibility. If you've watched anything of Spider-Man, you know this. When it comes to these subjects, if we mishandle them, there's going to be consequences. But when we handle them well, there's going to be healing, there's going to be truth, and there's going to be a lot of trust that comes along with that. So here is a quick list of the do's and the don'ts of student ministry. Keep in mind, with every don't, there's going to be a do. So that's the format we're rolling with. So the first one, don't meet with students of the opposite gender. There is never a reason that you should find yourself one-on-one with a student of the opposite gender. There's also never a reason why you should find yourself being a student of the opposite gender's go-to person. If they're texting you for advice, if they're coming to you for advice, if they're coming to you for a ride, anything like that, avoid it at all costs. Nothing good can come from this. We need to avoid any of that at all costs. And I'm just going to be clear. Do not spend one-on-one time with students of the opposite gender. You will be fired like this. So now that we're clear, don't meet with students of the opposite gender. Do partner with leaders of the opposite gender. When you have a student of the opposite gender come up and try to open up to you or share this big heartfelt moment, here's what you do. You say, hold on one second, and you go find a leader of their same gender and you point them right there. So when we partner with leaders of the opposite gender well, then we understand who leads what group. Then we understand whose student this is, and you can just run straight to the right leader and say, hey, your girl just came up to me. Hey, here's your leader. They've already got a connection. Hopefully that girl, without missing a beat, will just open up right to that leader. But we have to avoid any of the emotional confusion that comes along with the connection of those moments. So the main thing is, ahead of time, keep in mind, know that you are not meeting with students of the opposite gender. So got that. First one, don't meet with students of the opposite gender. Second is this, don't bring problems to students. Don't bring problems to students. We are never gonna talk negative about other students, about our church, about our leaders, about our program. Even if it is as simple as the games we're doing. We're not gonna talk negative about that. What we do here is we privately confront and we publicly defend. Out in public, we're gonna speak extremely highly of other people, of our church, of our leaders. Behind closed doors, when we are with a staff member, with the right person who can handle it, that's when we're gonna bring our issues. That's who we're gonna bring them to. We are not gonna talk negatively to students. We're not gonna bring them our problems. We're not gonna bring them other problems. All that does is it kills morale, it kills momentum, and it kills trust. So if you have something negative, if you have something that you just did not like, that either the pastor said or you thought the game we played was lame or something like that, you're not gonna say that to a student. What you're gonna do is you're either gonna keep it to yourself or you're gonna bring it to a staff member who can then make a change. And that's what our do is. What we don't do is we don't bring problems to students. What we do is we bring solutions to staff. Anybody can find problems, but leaders find solutions. If you have a problem, bring it to a staff member. What they're gonna do is explain maybe the why, or they're gonna bring you in on, hey, how can we do this better? And we're gonna ask you for your help. So that's a way that we can all grow together, honor each other well, and lead out of that value of a culture of honor. Number 3 is don't jeopardize your ministry. Don't jeopardize your ministry. Before you post or comment online, think, will my students see this? Before you go out on the weekends, know that you could run into one of your students or their families. Really, the underlying thing here is act in wisdom. This should influence the way that you speak. This should influence the environments that you hang out in, the people that you're hanging out with, what we wear, as well as what we post. So keep in mind, we are going to have a leader covenant that every leader is going to sign. So it's going to be very spelled out and very clear. Hey, here's what we do not do. Here's what we don't post. Here's some of the words we don't use. So we'll make sure that's very clear, that the expectation is set very clearly for you. On the other hand of don't jeopardize your ministry, do model ministry. In 1 Corinthians 11, Paul says, imitate me as I imitate Christ. And the big thing about your whole ministry is be imitatable. When your students see you, do they see Jesus? You hold weight in their eyes. Make sure that weight is held with some authority. So make sure that you are modeling ministry at all times. So don't jeopardize your ministry, but do model ministry. Number 4, don't tell students that you will keep their secrets. Let me explain this for a minute. As we get closer with students, they're gonna open up, they're gonna go really deep with some of the things we're dealing with. And let me say this, that is a sign of a healthy ministry. That is a sign of a healthy leader, that they've created an environment, that they've created a space that a student wants to open up about their deepest, darkest secrets. But what we can't do is when they say like, hey, you can't tell anybody, or you can't tell my parents, like that is not a covenant that you can hold on to. That is not a promise that you can make, because that's not one that you're legally allowed to keep. If a student is harming themselves in any way or has the intention of harming others, that's stuff that we legally have to report. So one of two things, when they open up and then they say you can't tell anybody, you can either do one of two things. You can let them know, hey, I'm gonna have to let a leader know, or hey, I'm gonna have to let your parent know. Or, which I would not suggest this, I always suggest honesty. You could lie to them and say, okay, but then you're gonna have to go break that promise and let somebody know. So with that, don't tell students that you're gonna keep their secrets, because that's just not worth it. The do, on the other hand, is do report the important things to staff. Again, we are mandatory reporters. When things come to us about students harming themselves or intending to harm others, we have to report that. We have to get that into the right people's hands. So help us in that. You are the ones that our students are going to be really opening up to. So we need to trust you in these moments. So don't tell students you'll keep their secrets. Do report the important things to staff. On a lighter note, let me give you 2 more bonus points. 1, do check GroupMe and our leader guide. Don't mute it. You know who you are. Number 2, don't no-show on us, and do let us know when you're not gonna make it. So there's our list of do's and don'ts. This one's really important. We're gonna continue to just make the expectations really clear. We trust you guys in this. That's why you've been placed with authority. Again, back to the Spider-Man quote, with great power comes great responsibility. So use it well. Love you guys so much. The next one we're talking about in our next video is discipline and student safety. Make sure you check that out. Again, thanks for tuning in to the Loco Youth Leader Labs.